Welcome to another episode of the Sports Locker. I'm Trisha McCauley.
And I'm Dylan Conover. It's Super Bowl week, so we'll have all the angles of the big game covered.
For Rambler Athletics, it's been a drama-filled week. Both basketball teams had some last-second heroics.
And in track, one runner continues to dominate his races. All this and more coming up on the Rambler Sports Locker. The men's and women's basketball team both played a pair of conference games last week, and both teams had some finishes that left us on the edge of our seats. The men's team had one of the most nail-biting games in program history when they hosted Indiana State. The Ramblers defeated the Sycamores 104-96 in double overtime. It was Loyola's first 100-point game since 1997. Loyola led for most of the game, but timely three-point shooting kept the Sycamores in it. Montel James led the Ramblers with a career-high 28 points. Unfortunately, they were not able to win again Wednesday night, falling to the Illinois State Redbirds 78-70. The team is scheduled to travel to Carbondale, Illinois to face Southern Illinois on February 6th at 7 p.m.
The women were the first to start the action with a dramatic win against Northern Iowa. Freshman Grace Goodart was able to secure the game with a three-pointer in the last 10 seconds of the game. The Ramblers won the game 64-60. We caught up with Goodart after the game.
I have hit some other buzzer beaters before, but hitting one at this level this early in my career is really a good confidence booster for me.
Unfortunately, the team was not able to keep that momentum going 2 days later against Drake University. Loyola fell to the Bulldogs 81-65. Taylor Manuel led the way for the Ramblers with 21 points in the loss. They return to action on February 5th when they host Southern Illinois at 7 p.m. in Gentile Arena. The men's basketball team set a couple records against Indiana State.
Yeah, that's right. Milton Doyle hit 1,000 points in his career. Montel James hit a Loyola record 18 free throws. There was a lot to be proud of. Maybe they can, use that momentum to turn their season around.
And the women's team is much improved from last year. They'll be looking to keep up the rest of their season. Coming up, we'll take a look at track and field's relay results. But first, let's head over to Rachel Huffman and find out more about this week's number in By the Numbers.
The number this week is 3. In just 3 sets, the unstoppable Novak Djokovic defeated Andy Murray in the Australian Open final, winning his 3rd Grand Slam in a row. Murray and Djokovic have met in the final in Melbourne 3 times before, and 3 times Murray was defeated, making this loss even more painful. In the women's final, Angelique Kerber of Germany upset the top-seeded Serena Williams in 3 sets, taking the only sets lost by Williams in the whole tournament. Both Kerber and Djokovic enjoy championship prizes of over $3 million, the 3rd largest awarded in sports after the U.S. Open and Wimbledon. Loyola women's basketball coach Cheryl Swoops has been nominated for the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. The 3-time Olympic gold medalist and 3-time WNBA MVP appeared on Fox 32 News earlier this week to talk about the nomination and coaching at Loyola. Congratulations on your nomination, Coach. For the numbers, I'm Rachel Huffman. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Rachel.
Hopefully the men's volleyball team will win their 3rd national championship this year. A Loyola assistant softball coach is taking her talents overseas. Brittany Cervantes is leaving Chicago to play professional softball in Japan. Cervantes spent 3 seasons with the Ramblers, working one-on-one with their hitters. Before Loyola, Cervantes played first base for the University of Kentucky and then for the Chicago Bandits. The women's softball team said the thing they'll miss most is Cervantes' game day charisma. The Ramblers are scheduled to open their season February 12th at Kennesaw State in Kennesaw, Georgia.
The 2-day event saw numerous top 20 finishes in various events. Senior distance runner Sydney Stunkel ran the mile in 5 minutes and 2 seconds, a season high and good enough for 11th place. But it was senior Peter Archibald who stole the spotlight. The mid-distance runner placed first in the 800-meter with a time of 1 minute and 51 seconds. The teams will split in the next few days as one team will run the Mayo Invitational in South Bend, Indiana, and the rest of the team will take part in the Windy City Invite here in Chicago. It has been a remarkable 50 years for the spectacle known as the Super Bowl. Blake Keller talked to students on campus to find out their reactions to this year's game.
I'm here at the Water Tower campus in the Corboy Law Center's basement, and we're here to find out students' big predictions for the Super Bowl this year. It's the Super Bowl of all Super Bowls. It's the 50th anniversary, and we'll find out what they're looking forward to most for this year's game. Let's check it out.
I'm going to go watch the Super Bowl at 63 with my sisters, keeping it classy.
I got a feeling Denver's probably going to win just because, they've always been kind of a top contender team from what I've seen and heard. So.
I'm looking forward to listen to Lady Gaga because she's my favorite singer.
I'm looking forward to the commercials and to kind of making fun of them with my friends.
I got my money on Cam Newton all day.
Yeah, I don't even plan on watching the game.
I don't even care about the commercials or the game. I just want to stare at Cam Newton, to be honest.
Maybe I was thinking about, grabbing a bunch of, things, chips and dip.
As you just heard, lots of different predictions, lots of people watching for commercials, but also a lot of Cam Newton fans, I'll tell you that much. For the Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Blake Keller.
If you want to be a part of this year's game, you can still buy tickets, but beware, they are priced at an average of $5,000.
And now let's send it over to Bridget Murphy for this week's Ramble.
Hello, welcome to this week's Ramble. I'm your host, Bridget Murphy. I'm here with Mike Nitch and Taylor Utzig. In the last few days before the big game this weekend, there's been a lot of rumors swirling about retirements, most notably Peyton Manning and Calvin Johnson. In a long string of miseries facing Motor City's football team, Megatron has announced he would potentially be not returning this coming fall. So my question this week is that a good idea? He's announced that he's been having a lot of wear and tear over the last 9 seasons, and because of his health and his body, he is talking about not coming back to the team. Taylor, do you think that's a smart move?
Well, it's exactly what you said. He is his own person. He knows his body. If he says that there's a lot of wear and tear, then I think he has every right to retire. Actually, if you look back at his games, he's only ever sat out 5 games in his entire 9 seasons. And those 5 games were in the last 2 years. So I think it's definitely proven that he is facing more wear and tear. Wide receivers after their 30s are known. Their stats either plateau or decline. Yes, he's had a great career so far, but maybe he's just understanding that this is the end for him and he wants to go out on a high. So I think if he needs to retire, he knows what's best for him. And it seems his teammates also agree.
Can I make a point on that? Sure. I'd like to say that in Jerry Rice's career, the famed receiver who played for the San Francisco 49ers and won a Super Bowl with them after he turned 30, scored more touchdowns in his 30s and beyond than he did in the years preceding his 30s.
Yes, but in the wake of these new studies coming out with the effects of long careers on football players, specifically head trauma and other injuries, do you think it's a smart move to get out of the game while he's still fully functioning?
I think that health is a huge issue. I played football and it does take a toll on you. Obviously, I'm not playing in the NFL, so it's tough for me to say. But maybe a year off would be a better choice. But as he is under contract right now, and he is under contract until 2020, it's kind of a weak move to give up on your contract. He wants to be a role model, and role models don't give up on contracts. He promises time. He made the Detroit Lions pay a lot of money for him, and to give up on that is not something that I think that he really embodies as a person, because he's a genuine person and he's a great guy. And I think maybe a year off would be a better option for him.
I would like to also mention, though, how Barry Sanders also retired after about 10 seasons with the Detroit Lions, and he was about 30, 31. It's not uncommon for at least a Detroit Lion wide receiver to retire at this point. One could even look at the Lions are a losing team. Calvin Johnson, he's put up some really great stats, and he's continually been on a losing team with losing numbers. That has to take a toll on your spirit as well.
Well, Barry Sanders was a running back. That's a different thing. And I think that if Calvin Johnson is going to continue his career, maybe the best thing for him to do is continue it in Atlanta, in Georgia, 30 minutes from his home,
but then
near
wouldn't that
his
also
family.
Be making the contract he has with Detroit null as well?
No, because you can trade people. That's how it works. The Atlanta Falcons can trade Julio Jones. He's under a large contract right now, and they can trade him to the Lions. They have cap space, and they can move people around and do certain things that can, help Calvin Johnson continue his career. Calvin Johnson turned down Notre Dame, he turned down USC, he turned down Michigan, he turned down Oklahoma. He turned down all these teams when he was in high school because he wanted to stay in Georgia. And I think that right now, he's homesick. He admitted in 2008 he was definitely homesick when he got to Detroit. Not only were they a poor team, but he wasn't enjoying himself.
So then
and
why
I
would
think
he...
that right now he's not enjoying himself again because the past 2 seasons he hasn't played very well.
So then why would he commit those 9 seasons?
I think that if he's going to continue, well, that's the point. Why would you sign a contract if 4 years after you sign that contract, you're going to say, oh, sorry, I didn't mean that. I'm sorry that you guys pledged all of this time and all of this money to my career when I'm having second thoughts.
Let's get back to the point, though, about his specific retirement this year. Is it a good idea, business-wise, personal-wise? Closing comments.
Well, business-wise, no, because he's giving up on approximately $60 million. Again, business-wise, no, it's going to hurt his reputation.
But what about him as a person?
As a person, definitely not. There's that ethical issue of signing a contract, putting your name to something, and then backing out. People don't respect that. His young son, who he is trying to set a great example for now, is not going to respect that.
I completely disagree. I think taking the personal choice to understand your own body and to understand when you yourself are not in it anymore, I think that's a courageous choice for him to take a look at his career and say, this is something that I need to step away from, whether it be a year, whether it be full retirement. That is his own choice, and to make that choice is a courageous move. Yes, business-wise, he's giving up a lot of money. I mean, that in itself is difficult, but he's not doing it for the money. He's doing it for a personal choice. This is something he has talked with about his family. There's been former teammates who have come out and said, yes, he told me at the beginning of the season, we kept it confidential. It's not something he takes lightly, and I think he's really evaluated this season, and going forward, I think he's going to continue evaluating and making sure it's the right choice for him.
I'm going to go with Taylor on this one because personal health is something that you have to take care of. And if we're talking about being a role model for your son, you can't be a role model if you're not even around or if you're brain dead by the time you're 30 because you took a bad hit because you decided to play an extra year. He's already rich. He doesn't need the money business-wise. He can do whatever he wants. So I'm going to go with Taylor because you got to stay healthy. You got to stay alive and functioning if you want to do all those things that you said. Thank you. This is this week's Ramble. Back to you at the desk.
Well, Trisha, I think that a lot of Bears fans will be hoping Calvin Johnson retires. I'm personally sick of him tearing it up and pretty much being the reasons the Bears lose. I don't know about you. That's how I feel.
I agree. I agree with you.
Well, want to join the conversation? Follow and like our social media handles below. Tell us your thoughts. And with that, that's all we have for tonight. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Dylan Conover.
And I'm Trisha McCauley.
Tune in to next week's episode for an up-to-date look at all things Rambler sports.
And as always, don't forget to turn out the lights.